Hey everybody, we're live here with John Willis. I'm Nicole Sauce, and we're just here to have a December catch up because John and I haven't talked to y'all in, I don't know, John, what's it been, a month or two?
Yeah, at least with our last event, and then you've been to how many states have you been in?
I don't know. Now only a couple states, but I did 5 events in 6 weeks.
That's awesome. You're not done yet.
No, I'm not. One more. Are you coming on the 18th?
What's the 18th?
The 18th, I do a Christmas reception here. You and Amanda are totally welcome.
We might. We
Yeah.
might.
Yeah, it's 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Some people hang out after around the fire, but I don't promise to hang out if I don't want to.
Right on.
Because I'm so welcoming as a person, right?
John Hamilton, what's up? TSL Homestead. John Bowman, what's going on?
Everybody's here. TSL, all right. That's Eric. What are you guys doing? They're not answering, John. Why can't we hear them? I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. Okay.
You had something new that I wasn't aware of there.
Now that'd be really cool though, except for then some jerk off could come in and say something we don't want and talk over us. That's why they don't do that. But it would be nice to just be able to like click there and promote. Okay. Anyway, what do you want to talk about today? You want to tell me what it was like to be at the turkey event at my place?
So I was a little wrong in how I thought the turkeys were going to go, right? So I thought the turkey was going to be just like doing chickens, but even easier, right? Because it's more to hold on to. But that's not the case. Like they don't want to die. And they can be like violent almost like you could get fucked up by a turkey if you're not careful. And my intention was to, hold that thing and cleave that head off. But then it looked like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You had blood literally head to toe. Like when I watched the footage, I'm like, holy shit. That's why I asked you. I'm like, how much of this footage do you want out there? And you're like, put it all out.
Yeah.
So, awesome. It's all coming out. We're going to do the whole thing.
I mean, the whole point of that is I want people to know what they're getting into. Right. I don't care if they learn my whole class digitally. It's totally different digitally versus in person. And I had bruises, John, from that day from my hip to just below my knee from turkey wings.
Right. And there was a lot of dudes that like, you're right there in the middle of it. Like you were the ringleader. And there's dudes that were like, I'm not getting in that shit. And Amanda, she broke that whole thing down, cooked it. We got a turkey roaster like you have. We got one of those now. We also bought a rotisserie thing. So I figured that'd be a good way to do chickens. Just cook them up and have them ready to go at any time for salads and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We're looking at getting one here in the holler too for that reason. Because the turkeys ranged from about 18 pounds on the low end to 30 pounds on the high end.
Yeah, and the biggest roaster we could find was like 22 pounds or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what it is, but it worked for you. So
it did.
Yeah. It did. Yeah, I think I had not done a turkey class before. I had processed turkeys, and it's a much different scale processing a turkey or two versus processing 28 turkeys. And then with students, they don't understand how hard you have to hang on, which is why I was in the middle of it. Cause I was like, yeah, you'll hang on. Yeah, I'm going to hang on with you because when they start moving, you're controlling a 40 or 50 pound animal, basically.
That does not want to die.
No.
And for some reason, like, I don't know why somebody hasn't come out and made real kill cones. If you don't know what a kill cone is, it's a big metal funnel.
Yeah.
Put the bird down in it. And then you slice its neck off or use a razor blade, cut the head off, whatever, slice the arteries in there. But none of these chickens, like I grew chickens pretty big and they didn't fit our XL cones. We had to use turkey cones. And then Nicole had turkey cones and they didn't fit the turkeys. Like somebody needs to make ridiculously big. Amanda thought like maybe we just take and cut off like the first 4 or 5 inches of the cone with a hacksaw.
Yeah.
Then it would, function properly.
Yeah, I might try that next year if we do turkeys next year because we have 4 turkey cones here and we could totally take a grinder to it and that would smooth it out so there's not a sharp edge and then go for it because it would have been nice to have the difference between chickens is when the chickens are in the cone and they do that twitch thing that chickens do, they're in the cone. When you're hanging on to the bird, that's not in the cone. It's not controlled. And so as you saw, you get like a shower of blood and it was,
you know that netting they run Christmas trees through, backwards.
Yeah.
You need to put the turkey through that netting so it can't, flop around like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was definitely a fun day for me. And I was also super glad when it was over.
I'll bet. Well, when we left, you still had half the turkeys.
Yeah, we got them all done before dark, but we did another, I think 12 turkeys after you left, just for people who bought turkeys only.
That's cool.
And yeah, but I do like having a big commercial grade plucker. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. After seeing that, I'm going to try to locate one. I would assume that the poultry stuff is kind of back maybe now. Like everybody was in a panic.
Yeah.
2 years ago with the COVID stuff. Like, oh my God, the end of the world's coming. We got to be able to do this. So everybody bought everything up. I bought a pretty expensive plucker from Featherman. And what we found is that the Tractor Supply plucker, I think, actually works better than the Featherman one does. That costs
really
6 times as much.
How come? Does it not bog down, or what's the challenge with the Featherman?
It just seems like it rips the feathers out faster. It just seems like it makes that bird naked a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is. That's good feedback to have, because, as we're sourcing these sorts of things, you never know what the best choice is. I have a homemade barrel plucker that I gave away after getting that commercial one to somebody else who's in our community, so that, somebody can borrow that other plucker. Here, this plucker is not leaving. It's too heavy.
Yeah. So I think the big thing is, that I've been saying a lot lately, like everybody has a better way to do something, but that doesn't mean the other way is wrong. Like keeping rabbits, right? I have no hair. I pull my hair out from being in these rabbit breeding groups and these local Facebook groups. Oh my God, you can't keep rabbits on that wire. That'll hurt the rabbits' feet. Oh my God, you can't keep rabbits in that cage. It's too small. They've been keeping rabbits for thousands of years. Like, yeah. What do you think they used to do with them? You got people running around all the time. Livestock guardian dogs is another one. Oh my God, it's snowing. You can't leave that dog outside. We literally spend thousands of dollars every year in straw and hay bales and all kinds. We make these dog loos and we insulate these kennels. Those dogs they don't ever go in there. They sleep out in the snow with ice on them. That's just what the dogs do. But everybody's so focused on what you shouldn't do or what you can't do, when that's how they did it for thousands of years, hundreds of years before now.
Yeah.
None of this stuff existed, right? How did we do it without electricity? Yet somehow it happened.
It did happen, and it can happen. I think one of the best ways to become more self-reliant is to get a backpack, go on an overnight backpack trip, and come back alive.
Yeah.
And while you're there, you're like, well, that was uncomfortable in certain ways, but in other ways, I feel like a badass because I just survived in the woods overnight, and I had enough to eat, and I was warm enough, or if I wasn't, I know what to do. And that's your minimum, right? Mm-hmm. It's not hard to do that. It's not hard to do that for a long time once you've done it once or twice. And then from there, you have that confidence to just try stuff. You realize I don't have to wash my hands in running water. I can scoop it out of a stream or use a bowl or whatever. And then when you don't have water because the power's out, you think, okay, well, I know how to keep hygienic. And that's an important skill at that point. Right. I wanted to point out, Kira said, a plucker is my goal so I can do meat birds again without hand plucking. And my dog just turned on my robot vacuum, which is hilarious. I don't know if you can hear that. But I think don't let that be the enemy of the perfect, be the enemy of the good. If you are in a community where there is one, find one you can borrow. And John, talk while I turn this vacuum off.
So hand plucking chickens, like that's the first time we did it. We hand plucked the chicken. We scalded it. I told my daughter we had a bunch of chickens. We're not really supposed to have them. We're in kind of a neighborhood sort of. They're all like 2-acre lots, real big houses, and just, busybody people. Oh my God, you've got some chickens. So we go buy these chickens, and one starts roostering, right? Starts crowing. So pop that thing, pellet gun him, boom, he's dead. He's over the fence. Next morning, another one roosters, boom, he's over the fence. Next morning, same thing. So I tell our daughter, I'm like, hey, go get that bird and wring its neck. And I didn't think she'd really do it. So I get this phone call from Amanda or a text message or something. Okay, Dakota killed the chicken. Now what? I'm like, holy shit, I didn't think she really would. I go home and I'm like, okay, wring its neck out and take the hatchet and cut its head off. Well, she did.
Yeah.
So now we're on the internet trying to figure out what to do with this chicken. So you gotta scald it, right? So we got the biggest pot we can find in the house, and we boil the water and we put the chicken in there. And now we've got this burning feather smell all through the house. I've got this boiling pot of water on the hardwood floor that left a ring on the floor. And now what do? Well, we're going to pull the feathers out. Well, we're pulling the feathers out. And that was our first chicken experience. You can skin a chicken.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to. You can skin a duck. You don't have to do that. You want that so you have the crispness of the skin and, you know, that fat layer under there. But you don't have to do that. There is a much easier way, you know, to process birds. And then as far as a turkey plucker, I'm telling you, I've got $6,000. I have a commercial chicken processing setup out here. Three bin sink, everything. That Tractor Supply chicken plucker worked awesome. And you'll find people at the end of the year that are like, it's just not for us. You'll find them for sale. You could find a neighbor where there's a group of, I see them sometimes, you can rent them on Craigslist. So just find some people like-minded in your area, join some local, like West Tennessee Farming, West Tennessee Livestock, those groups like that in your area. And you'll find people with those. Just put the call out. You'll have somebody. I just lost a GoPro camera, and it's somewhere under literally 10 feet of wood chips. I have probably 100 loads of wood chips out here right now, and I'm pushing them with a skid steer so the trucks can have room to get in and out. And I lost the GoPro, and I just made a post. Hey, I've got a GoPro missing. Somebody have a metal detector. And a friend of mine's like, yeah, I got one. I'll be there this afternoon. So you'd be surprised what people near you have if they know you're looking for it.
And a lot of people will let you use it. I have let my homemade plucker get borrowed by people I know for years. And every time it comes back, somebody's improved it. So it's now got plumbing in and a shower head so that you just hook up the hose and it's right over the top and all this cool stuff. And then, you know, they're happy to use it. Okay, we've got a question in from John Hamilton. What's the total cost, including time, to get it to table? I assume you mean chicken. Yeah. The turkey, I don't know my total cost yet, and I will by the end of the year. Chicken costs me $12 per bird. Cost, not time. And so I sell them for about $25 a bird. It's $4.50 a pound that I sell them for, and these are organic, soy-free, pasture-raised birds. But I just interviewed somebody on my podcast, which is at livingfreeintennessee.com, yesterday, named Billy Bond from Permapastures. He's got this whole series on chicken tractors on steroids, where he's figured out how to, with very little feed cost, raise out meat birds and raise out layers. And so we're going to look at doing some of that. And part of it involves sourcing things people are throwing away that chickens will eat. But there are ways to bring those costs down. And I was pretty excited to see that, because, you know, when you have $12 a bird in, there's no way to compete with the $2 a pound, whatever, at the store. But
and that $2 a pound at the store, like, what are they feeding that bird? Like, really, if you took that meat apart and analyzed it, what is it really? Who knows what that is at that point? Yeah. I mean, look at what they're putting in McDonald's food. Like, it's not even really food. I mean, when you set a burger out, the ants won't even eat that thing. So, I mean, what is that chicken really made of?
Yeah. And what do you want to support? Do you want to support your local pasture-raised farmers around you, or if you're buying it, or do you want to support commercial ag? That's up to you. We've seen how weak the supply chain system is with the just-in-time delivery approach. It is what it is. The problem is, if there's any problem, there's no supply. Yeah. Right. Have you looked at the price of electrical lately, like electrical parts?
I have. No, I don't look at it.
I don't look at it. My friend who's an electrician sent me a picture of an invoice, and it was $260 for a single double pole 50 amp breaker.
Go buy a coil of wire, right? Variable wire cable.
Yeah,
it's $1,000 every time. Anytime any project here starts, it's $1,000 every single, and that's just the wire we're going to put in the ground.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, the parts are hard to source, and they've gone up 5 times since July.
Yeah, and like, back to the cost of the chicken, like, I don't ever figure out what it costs because I don't want to know, and we never kill them when we should. I've got rabbits right now that are ready to breed out on grass that we should have killed 6 months ago. I mean, I'm terrible at that. I just look at it as keeping meat on the hoof. So if the electricity goes out and we got to empty freezers out, I have live meat, I have livestock, and we'll just kill it as we need to kill it. So I'm always way beyond when we should kill it. So I'm always way over in feed. But
yeah,
like we're doing rabbit tractors, and every day we drag them 8 feet. And then I have a seed mix. I'm putting white clover, red clover, white wheat, fescue, and Bermuda in a electric battery powered sprayer. So as we move them, I just come back behind it and reseed it.
yeah.
And you can see right now, all the grass out here is just brown and crispy. But every place the rabbits have been, there's clover and there's just, green, nice grass behind it. So that's what we'll bring them back to in another 6 months. They'll be back on the same area.
So here's a question from Eric. My brother-in-law is raising meat rabbits. What have you found is the best way to cull the animals?
What does he mean, cull?
I think he means dispatch.
Yeah. How humane do you want to be? I've taken them and just smacked them on the edge of a frame of a 2x4 or on a table and just blunt head trauma. I used to use a 12-inch black pipe, and I would just kind of hold them by the back legs and smack the shit out of them on the head. They got a thing called a hopper popper made for it. It looks like you could just take a piece of rebar and weld a Y. But this thing's nice. It bolts onto your 2x4 or whatever, and you put the head in there, and then you just jerk down on the feet. I killed one the other day where I just took it and just kind of stepped in that notch between the head and the body on the neck, and then just pull up real fast on the back legs. You'll feel it come off. Do whatever works for you. There's a ton of videos. There's some really, really good content on YouTube about processing rabbits. And a lot of people get in there and they want to feel bad about that animal. It's a job to me. Like everything out here, I have no emotional attachment to anything on the property. It all does a job. And the rabbits are there to breed and produce more rabbits, and so that we can eat them if we need to. I use them for dog food a lot also. But really, having rabbits, the poop is more valuable than the meat is.
Yes, it is.
A lot of it.
Yep. The poop you can use straight on your garden without composting it, which is great. When people worry to me about how humane it is to kill animals, I ask them, how will that animal die naturally? Because we all know what gets rabbit. Everything gets rabbits. And a lot of animals will start at the stomach and eat them while they're eating on them while they're still alive. Like me ripping its head off is way faster than what's likely to happen if a predator gets it. And it kind of helps mentally, I think, when you think about that, because humans are actually pretty efficient at killing, which is good for the animal and part of the process of the food. It's your food chain.
I think we've conditioned society to be weak, right? So when we have that whole conversation about we need to pray and chant and do whatever over this animal, I don't think that makes it better. I think it makes it harder every time. When you go in there and you just dispatch that animal. You had a really good point at the turkey processing class that, what if a coyote got a hold of that turkey?
Yeah.
Or a bird of prey. You ever seen a bird of prey? Like we've had birds of prey grab chickens. They eat the guts out while the chicken is alive. They are literally taking that chicken up in the air while it's alive. And if it gets loose, then it falls terribly to its death. And then it comes down and eats it some more. So no matter what you do, it's going to be cleaner than anything that would happen in Mother Nature.
And the important part is to decide to do it, right? Because once you start dispatching an animal, it's not going to be 100% successful and fast every time. No. And so if you find that your first attempt was not successful, the faster you do that second attempt and get it done, the better it is. So part of it, we talk about mindset and having the right mindset to be successful, having the right mindset to defend yourself, having the right mindset to stick to your exercise goals. Well, having the right mindset to dispatch means I have decided to do this, and I'm going to do it 100% of the way until it is done without worrying about an emotional reaction to, whoops, I didn't quite get it done that first time, right? Now, that happened at the class a couple times too, because we had to cleave the heads off, where somebody would kind of gently cleave and I would reach down and just push on that knife.
Yeah,
because it was sharp. And it was like, well, that'll get it done. It's better if that hit gets the head off. But if it doesn't, if you keep pushing, you've severed all nerve, like the spinal cord. It's not feeling anything at that point, which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
We just bought 2 big cleavers, like
Yeah.
the one you had. We bought them at 2 different antique stores this last
Cool.
weekend.
Yeah, I love that thing. I got that. I was on a business trip in Germany, and Germans are reported to have great knives, and I thought I need a cleaver on the homestead, and so I went shopping one afternoon and chose my cleaver, and I thought, well, it's souvenir and it's functional, so
Cool.
I love that. It holds an edge great. Although we had to sharpen that a few times that day. That was a lot of neck bone to go through with a cleaver.
The screaming kit, yeah. So bunnies are called kits. And I have nest boxes right now with bunnies just starting to come out of the nest boxes. And even when you grab them, they scream. They are super loud. It is a squealing, kind of whistling sound.
Yeah. Sure. We haven't gotten there yet. We've had 2 batches of kits now with our rabbits because we're new to meat rabbits this year. And we've dispatched 5 or 6 from the first batch, and then we kept some for breeding. And it's been first-time mothers both times. So the first one didn't know what was up and didn't give birth in her nest. And the second one, we came out and they were part of the nest and quite dead. So I think
always I had birth last night. We had birth night before last night, and almost guaranteed your first litter is always going to be dead. I mean, you can catch it. That's another thing in these groups, man. These people just spend so much time trying to nurse these little rabbits back. And I mean, what are you breeding these things for? I mean, I probably have no bullshit. I probably have 60 rabbits right now.
Uh-huh.
So when we lose a litter, I throw them in one of the chicken pens, and the chickens run around with them like mice and eat them up. So I mean, they still get used.
Well, that's how you grow chickens without having feed expenses, John.
I guess.
Yeah. People don't realize chickens are carnivores. They want vegetarian fed chickens, and that's not how it works in the real world. The only way you get a vegan chicken is to keep that chicken in a cage and not allow it to have access to the outdoors, because it will eat the bugs. If it finds a dead mouse, it'll eat the dead mouse. If one of them dies, it'll eat one of them. Like, chickens will eat. They love protein and they love meat.
People don't realize that they're very lucky that chickens aren't the size of ostriches. They would eat you. Like I use 32-gallon Rubbermaid trash cans to keep our feed in. I can put a bag of scratch and a bag of layer pellet in one trash can. They're super rugged, durable. Rain doesn't get in them, but there's weight to them. So every week or two, I will move the trash can over just the footprint, and there's always a nest of mama, mice. And the chickens run up and they grab them. And I have video. I have probably hours at this point worth of footage of nothing but chickens grabbing mice and ripping them in half and running around. And then another one will grab it, and they just a handoff. And that half a mouse will be in 20 different chicken beaks. We could do a whole video just on that. But yeah, they eat anything that moves.
Yep, they do. Well, here's a question from Jesse. How do you get past the gag reflex of the bad smells of processing?
You're doing something wrong.
Some people are more sensitive to smells than others. Part of it's mindset. I'm not going to gag. Don't breathe through your nose.
Maybe blow a fan right next to you.
Chew gum. Like, do something that makes it so the smell doesn't get to you. But I've found over time, like, chickens are the stinkiest, most disgusting thing that I can process in the world. Even turkeys don't smell as bad as chickens to me. And I've just, because we do 1 or 2 cycles a year, and it's been going on for years here, at this point, I have beef that day for dinner because I don't even want chicken when I process chickens. And then from there, the smell goes away, and I've gotten better at it. If you do puncture the gallbladder, that smell will make you gag, and there's nothing you can do but gag and maybe vomit, because that's just don't smell. Like, if you see the gallbladder is punctured, breathe through your mouth, like clamp your tongue up on the roof of your mouth so nothing can get through your nose, and then you'll be fine.
We do it outside here under the lean-to.
Yeah.
It's a big patio. And we have a 3-bay commercial sink. So we always have running water. So, I mean, I guess I've just never noticed it. I don't know. I'm pretty sensitive to smell. I smell things that other people don't. But I've never thought of processing, rabbits or chickens as there being, an odor to it.
Yeah.
The only odor I think is like when you take it out of the scalding water, kind of that
smell.
Hair smell. That's the only thing that comes to mind, really.
Yeah, that's the worst smell. It's the poopy hair from the scalder. If you add a dabble of vinegar and Dawn dish soap, that helps cut some of the smell. So people are asking why caps locks for questions, because we have confirmed, haven't we, John, that I can't see tiny little letters.
It's the same. It's the same with me too. And it depends on the device. When I do a live feed every night, I do it off my phone.
Yeah.
And on my phone, I only see 2 lines. And on Facebook, when I do it, I cannot just expand. It won't expand it when I'm in the app live streaming for some reason. So the caps do make it easier to see.
Yeah, it does make it a lot easier.
And I'll have literally 100 comments running through this fast. So those ones just stand out. They're easier to go back and scroll through and stop on. In
order to read your coffee label successfully, I had to read the t-shirt.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got the t-shirt out and I just thought, okay, I'll read it there. Because
I'll enlarge it and use my magnifying glass.
Yeah, I keep one of those on my desk right here. So I've got, this is my grandpa's.
Yep.
And when he died, I said, the only thing I really want is this magnifying glass, not realizing that just 2 or 3 years later, I'm actually using it to read, like codes they put on the back of devices that you need to find the model number and all that.
They sell a Fresnel lens at Walmart in the obstetrician, where the glasses and shit are.
Yeah.
It's a page of a paper, 8.5 by 11. It's like $4. It used to be. They're flexible. You can put them right in the sleeve and a backpack, have it everywhere you go. And you can literally pull it out on a sunny day, and on a 2x6 or 2x4, you can write your name with it. It's that fast, like literally.
Wow.
Quick. So you should always have one. It'll start a fire if you have any kind of sunlight. They're worth having.
As a child, I started fires with this very magnifying glass.
Yeah, tortured ants and stuff.
Yeah, it was the best.
Yeah, now they say your kids need, medication if they're killing ants with a magnifying glass.
Well, that's a whole nother topic. Hey, what do you think about this latest COVID cold thing happening?
I don't really believe in any of it. Like, it hasn't affected me. I've got 20 people on the other side of this wall. I don't think I have a single person here vaccinated. I have not had a single person out sick. I don't know anybody that's died from it. I know some people that have had it. I have probably had it. Nothing has stopped anything we've done in the last 2 years. Nothing.
Yeah, you closed for you were going to close for a week and nobody wanted to stay away, right?
That's we shut down for a week because we put in a lot of fencing. We brought in a bunch more concrete barriers. We put up a whole second redundant camera system. We put in another alarm system just in case. We were bringing things onto the property that we didn't want all the employees knowing was happening at the time. So we kind of just, we gave them 2 weeks off paid to kind of see what was going to happen. And at the end on Sunday, after the first week, they're like, can we come back? I'm like, I'm paying you not to. They're like, we don't care. Can we just come back to work? We're done being home. So we didn't.
It's hard, I think, to not have something to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what that's like, but other people apparently when they're home don't have something to do.
And most people don't know what it is to be at home with kids, right? So that's why the school system works. That's why all these systems work, because we have built-in babysitting, and we have convinced people that both spouses need to work, and you're not a human being if you stay home with your kids, right? You need to go get a job and contribute to the family and buy more Christmas presents for your kids, and you need to save for college. You need to buy your kid a car when they turn 16. Well, we've broken, the household up. So now all of a sudden everybody's home, and you've got these kids that you haven't raised, that the school system has raised, and you realize you don't like the way your kids are because you haven't raised your kids. So I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that is really hard on people, and it's pretty sad that we use the schools for babysitting. And the flip side of that, I know somebody who is looking for a babysitter who will take care of like older kids, older than 7, but younger than 13. And that window is really hard to find if you need to pay for daycare, especially if it's during school hours. It's just because it's not a thing. But if you want to homeschool and you're working full time and you need somebody to watch your kids, you may be homeschooling when you get home from work at 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock, right? But during the day, if the kids need a babysitter, they need a babysitter. So I'm just putting that out there in case people are looking for business ideas, because daycares that hyper focus in on that age, I think could do really well.
Yeah.
For the parents who are single and working, and there are a number of those out there. So Well, I looked over the feedback from the Self Reliance Festival that we did in October. What were your thoughts on that? Like, how did you like that event?
We needed more time.
Yeah.
That was it. We got going. Everybody. That's the only thing I heard was I was just getting started. Like I'm terrible about following a script. So we're going to come in and just talk about whatever the audience wants to talk about. It could be, and usually when I walk up, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. It depends on them.
Yeah.
And, I was at the Rogue Food Conference when I first met Neethi.
Yeah.
Neethi Bali and Joel Salatin. And I'd walked up to Joel and he's taking notes. And I go, after doing these things so many times and really being a leader in your field, do you really need to still take notes? And he said, I do. He said, because that's why I'm out here greeting everybody and talking and having just a 2-minute conversation as they're coming in, because he said, I don't know what you guys need. I don't know what this audience needs to hear and communicate and learn. So I don't ever know what my presentation is going to be until I walk up on the stage. I don't know 5 minutes ahead of time. So that's kind of how I am. But I know just more time. We just needed more time.
Yeah. There was a lot of feedback that said more sessions with more space in between them, right? And so this next one we're doing in February is going to be 2 days so that there can be more networking. I mean, the way you networked at this one is you skipped a session.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen no matter what. That has to happen. That is the natural flow of events. But having some time in between so they're not quite so rapid fire, I think will be great for people. And I'd like to see more people doing demos that are an all-day demo. Like that blacksmithing demo was badass, right? A lot of people liked seeing how that worked, but that's not just something you do for 20 minutes.
Right.
So here we go from Stacy. Hey, John and Nicole, just kicking back, recovering from back surgery. Thanks for doing this live. Okay, so we're entertaining some people today.
Right on.
So what else are you thinking we should do different for the February 19th event?
Well, 2 days. I think we'll allow on-site camping, right? That's not bring in your fifth wheel. That's bring in your Jeep with a rooftop tent, bring in your tent, bring in your, fucking dig a foxhole, whatever you want to do. We don't care. It's going to be cold. We'll have burn barrels out. We'll have some propane heaters out. We'll probably have a big bonfire going so you can get closer or further to the fire. I think no animals still. I have too many animals here for people bring their animals here. Plus, you just don't know you don't really know people, We said no kids. If you have to ask if you can bring your kids, you probably can't. There were a lot of people here who had kids that were perfect little adults. And if that's your kid, then to just show up with that kid and we don't have to have the conversation. Just more time, I think. We have a lot of people who have had interest in coming. I got a lot of dudes who are like, hey, I want to come talk at your thing. I got a buddy owns a butcher shop and a meat processing, facility, a badass, like brand new butcher. He wants to come in and talk. I've invited some people from different industries to come in and just have different conversations. So, I mean, 3 days into it, we had more people, I think, already locked on to come and present than we had the whole entire last time. I've got friends coming from all over the United States that are just going to come in and kind of see our thing and be vendors of different products. And I think just bringing other people, right? It's not just homestead stuff. It's not just tactical stuff. When like I moved here because James lives here and he was doing, 1,000 students a year through here. And most of them were also my customers. He does 7,000 students now. But when I do, when we have one of my parties, I'll have 900 people here on the property. 100 of them will be students. So I've got 800 people that I can expose to tactical response also. And that's when we started doing like the Overland Expo stuff and the Overland, vehicle camping stuff. It just brought more people in. Every dude with a truck and a rooftop tent, they also own a gun, right? So that's a potential customer over there. And like the homesteaders, you have homesteaders. We had dudes here that had millions and millions of dollars. We had dudes here with $100,000, $150,000 trucks. And you had people here that, totally, little house on the prairie, live off the land kind of stuff. So we can expose them. Maybe they don't like each other. Maybe they don't network. Maybe there's nothing there. But it's just business and bringing more people in to do business with everybody. And you never know what opportunities are going to be presented from bringing all those people together. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I'm a terrible salesman. I don't stand in here. Like, not one time did I say, hey, you're in my building and we build this shit. I would appreciate if you buy this stuff. Like, literally, we can't make enough of it. So at this point, it's just about making community, right? Bringing people from different walks of life together.
Yeah.
Come here. People are like, why do you have all these giraffes here? Well, if you've ever been someplace where you might not know who I am. You might not even know you're in my building. But at some point in the next year, you're going to go, yeah, I was at this place and this guy had this thing and we talked to him, and you're going to talk about us, or we're going to have a conversation down the road somewhere. It's just about bringing people together at this point.
Yeah. And a lot of people who've seen my presentation on underground networking understand that is my mission. That is my mission. Yes, I roast and sell coffee. Yes, I have a podcast. Yes, I teach people things, but it's events like this where we get to know each other in person that the underground network becomes stronger. It's already there. And people they see that presentation and say, how do I get involved? The answer is you need to start going places in person, even if you don't like it, because we need to look you in the eye and develop some trust. And camping overnight at John Willis's place is a great way to make some friends. Maybe, you might end up starting a new business. A lot of times at events like this, you'll have two people camping with each other who have two different complementary skills. And next thing you know, they're vendors at the next one. Homestead Glamour Girls asking, what's the vendor fee? The ticket fee is your vendor fee. If you buy your ticket and you sign up to be a vendor, that's it. The whole point is get you here, get us transacting with each other, get to know each other. It's not have a $500 booth fee for people. So
plus when you're here face to face, right, and you meet these people, you can barter. Things can happen that can't happen through the mail. Maybe it could be anything, right? Some dude's got a couple ounces of silver. Hey, will you trade this? Some dude's got a couple ounces of, weed. I don't know what ounces of weed are. I've never smoked weed. Whatever it is, it can be whatever you have created or whatever you have that you can trade. And they're talking about right now, they're talking about cutting Russia off the SWIFT system, right? Which is how they do international banking. If they're going to cut a country off, what do you think they're going to do to you? Like that's this whole social credit score. This whole thing is about, it's not even about finding us, right?
Right.
They had so many people comply, they didn't have to find us because we're the few that didn't. So what are you going to do when they turn your banking system off? What are they going to do? What are you going to do when Verizon turns your shit off? What are you going to do when PayPal shuts down your account, or you can no longer, they can unperson you, just like your 7-year credit score stuff, your 7-year history, right? Do you know you have that? If you write a bad check, you get put in something called check systems with the bank. Do you know that you can't personally, with your social security number, you can't go get a bank account for 7 years until you pay off all that past history? They can do that to you. So that 1,000 true fans, right? It doesn't even have to be 1,000. Everybody keeps saying, I keep hearing this bullshit about living wage. Well, you get paid what you're worth. And if you're someplace where you're worth more than you're being paid, that's you. That's on you. You go someplace better, or you create someplace better. Living wage. Maybe you need to live at a different means than what you're fucking capable of making. So everybody wants to talk about that shit. So maybe you don't need 1,000. Maybe you only need 100, and you have some product, and you now have 100 avenues of people that are willing to pay you for the product. When they turn your shit off, now you have network. You can go within, an hour every direction and deliver your goods, right? Maybe it doesn't matter if they turn your stuff off. And that's what this is about. It's so much deeper than, us just selling you something, right? Something you're going to take home and hope that you never, ever have to use. So when you leave here, you could buy something, sure, from, 100 different people, but there's some skill, or you're going to take that skill home and develop some business. And then we're going to do business in a different capacity later. It's just about building the community.
Yeah. And that community is the underground network. It's not like you have to have a passcode word. There may be things that if you don't know them, I might not trust you at a certain level, but that happens naturally. That doesn't happen it's not a speakeasy handshake that we're talking about here. And
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as things become more oppressive, the underground network becomes stronger, and ultimately, if you look at examples historically, the oppressors never win. That's the part that people have a hard time with when they see the oppression coming. There's a bad time for a time, but is there an example where the oppressors won forever? No. Eventually, the human spirit comes up and they overthrow it. A lot of people might die in the process, but they overthrow it.
You should watch, every one of you on here right now should watch anything on the Nazis, right? There's a ton of it on YouTube. If you watch what the Nazis did and how they did it before World War II started, up until World War II, how did they round them up? How did they catalog them? And what did they tell them? And why did they go along with it? You're seeing it happen right now in the United States. Like literally the exact same thing is happening. You guys need to know that. Plus, bringing all these people together, you have dudes who can literally do, and women who can do anything because they have done so much with nothing. Gent Combs on there. Like, I know that dude. Joe Brown. I know that dude. Joe Brown just got a homestead. He's been here a bunch of times walking around. He's doing it, right? He's doing it. Gent can take literally, if I'm like, we need metal, he can make metal. He can literally make metal, and then he can build the metal into other things. Like, that dude can work in any medium. I'm not even surprised anymore when he builds something. He just refurbished a couple motorcycles. He does awesome woodwork. He logged a whole bunch of property. He came in here. He's the only dude I have ever sat down with in the last 20 years and taught how to sew, right? And that dude, he makes some belts now. Like, that dude can do anything. Like, I'm always amazed at what but I'm not even amazed anymore. Like, it's just like I try to be more like that guy. And those dudes are all here. You just have to have the conversations with them.
Yeah. Your conversation about what a living wage is very germane to lifestyle design, where if you build your life like a homestead, and I don't mean you have to live in a homestead like I do, if you're in a city and you get value from your home, however that works for you, that reduces your need for external inputs. It reduces your need for money. Right. That doesn't mean don't go earn money. Money is really helpful to have when you need to get out of things, or when you need to buy electrical supplies that are now 5 times what they were 5 months ago. But at the end of the day, you don't need as much, and that's helpful. And when you have skills, you know what to do when you're faced with a situation where the money's not going to help you. And what will help you are the skills. And that's part of what I like about getting people who are doers and makers together, because the conversations are totally different. They start talking and they show you get Patrick Mormon down showing how to sharpen knives. Well, next thing you know, somebody's over there with some woodworking equipment, and they're cross-pollinating each other. One is metal, one is wood. And now they're both equipped to go do more things. And I love to watch that happen at events like this.
Right. And just coming out and seeing the property. It doesn't have to be here. It can be Nicole's place. It can be my place. It can be, any of these people that have people on property. So often we watch guys on YouTube, right? And you see this sliver, you see their studio, or you see just this little piece of where the camera goes. And then how many of you guys, and you know what I'm talking about, answer in the comments. How many times have you watched somebody on YouTube for a couple of years and you meet them and they're not anything like they look like, right? You watch these fitness guys and you see them in public and they're not fit. Or you watch these homestead guys and they're not homestead guys, right? The dude, or these guys have these nice cars and they're not their cars. I think that success leaves clues. And if you're asking me advice and I give you any kind of advice, I should be following the advice, right? You should be able to come here and see proof of what I'm telling you, the things, how I do what I do and how to do them. There should be evidence that they've happened and they're, that they work, right? So you can come here and anything we talk about, it's here. Like, I won't be telling you how to do shit that I don't do. Right. Or I'll put you with somebody that does.
Right. I get a lot of questions sometimes that are not in my wheelhouse. And the best way to answer them is, that's not in my wheelhouse. Or, right. I talked to this other person. This is what they said, but I don't know because I've never done it. You know, the difference between processing a turkey, as you said, and how you thought that would go, two different things. I like this one. You can't have $1 million dream without a minimum wage work ethic. If by minimum wage work ethic, you mean what it used to be when I was earning minimum wage, sure.
Right. So back like the living wage thing, right? Everybody living wage. So here, cost of living is very low. You can rent there's no apartments here. You can rent a house. Let's say a lower income house here is $500. It's going to be $300 to turn on the electricity. It's going to be $300 to turn on the water. You guys got to have roommates. If you're a kid, you're used to your accustomed living was in your mom's house, who was getting money from the state, maybe had a job. Dad was probably paying assistance, and there was some other, EBT bullshit in there in low income. That's typically here. So you don't get to live like that. Like, that's why as a young person, you have to have roommates, right? That you got to have other people. Like I know people that stayed in houses. I stayed at friends' houses where there was like 10 of us living in an apartment. Like, I've been homeless, like truly homeless. So you guys just like people whining and crying. Like, when you turn the faucet on and water comes out, I don't want to hear shit from you. Like, you got nothing to discuss. If you have a cell phone in your hand to complain with, you're not even in the conversation. Like, you don't have no idea. The United States is one of the only places in the world where people don't spend over half of their entire life collecting water that won't kill them or collecting fuel to keep them warm to cook water with, right? So like we don't even know what it is to be, hard times here in the United States. We've never even seen them. Norhinko from Japan right there. Hello, man. Mark Joe Friday's got a company called Dump Box. I met him a few years ago. We've done a lot of business together, Mark and I. And he does patches. And he has built, like, Mark has bought, how many cars and trucks have you bought in the last 3 years? Like, that dude, he's got a beautiful home. He works in Miami, has a real job, and just his side business doing patches, he is making more money than, well, a lot of people that I know. I mean, he makes more money on this side thing than, most people make at a real job. And he does it all out of like a bedroom in his house.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's amazing what you can do with side hustles if you get started on something.
Yeah, he needs to quit his real job.
Yeah, well, he has to want to quit his real job, right?
I think he likes his job.
Maybe he likes the money from his job too.
Yeah.
Double money is not always bad. What's the discussion tonight? How would you answer that question?
Anything you want. You can talk about anything you want, Norhinko.
We call this Ask Me Anything. Just do it in all caps so that blind Nicole can see it. I'm not really blind.
Norhinko is a chef, and he's in Yokohama, Japan. Is that where you're at? Yokohama?
It'll catch up. So there's always that 6-second delay on the live stream.
Yeah.
So side hustle, 100%. I read today that tax revenues are up in municipalities because people have done so well in the last few years that they're thinking about reducing the tax rates.
Oh, no, they're not. Oh, no, they're not.
That was an article, and I thought, well, that would be new.
Yeah.
That would be great, but that would be
They're never going to give you something back they stole from you. It's never going to happen. They're just going to have to keep taking and taking.
It is how it works. It's funny to look at the tax burden differences between now and 150 years ago when people were complaining about tax burden.
Yeah, I mean, what did we fight? What did all this start over?
Yeah. What did it start over? There were a couple things going on there, but there was a big one.
87,000 new IRS agents they're hiring.
Oh my goodness. I'm totally going to get audited. It's just what's going to happen. Was that from the Babylon Bee?
Yeah.
No, it was not. It was, I think, a CNN article. I like to keep up on what the tone is in the media because that propaganda spin helps me understand where people are coming from. And I've been particularly interested in the media reaction to a virus that's a new mutation that is milder than the former variations and how they make it still sound bad. My favorite one was, it's milder, so there will be more mutations.
Right. You know who Steve Bannon is? Steve Bannon was on Tim Pool, and that was a great episode to hear him speak. and speak about the things that had happened and the things that currently are happening. And I mean, it's to the point that the only people pushing this virus stuff and worried about I mean, even Ben Shapiro is like blatantly he could almost, his show could almost be a stand-up act making fun of the corona shit at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's even concerned with it. Like we were just I was in Memphis last weekend, and I was in Nashville. I think I was in Nashville this weekend. There's no masks out there. Like there's not. Like there's 2-3 maskers, and you'll see them in line someplace, and you'll follow them out of the store, and they get in a Prius, and they've got their Prius or their smart car, their electric car is plugged in to a diesel generator to charge their car, and they've got their gloves and their mask, and they get in their car and they drive away in their gloves and their mask. Like it's a joke at this point, almost. Like people are not concerned with it. Like people are they're over it. Like you guys had your chance to do what you were going to do, and you fucked it up so miserably that the U.S. populace, the citizens, they're just done with it. You can tell people who own businesses and people who work or create a tangible product or work for themselves or are responsible for paying employees, they're done with it. They've been done with it. The only people still kind of going along with it are bureaucrats, people who get paid because there's some entity that steals and forces us. They steal our money to pay those people. And the only way those people stay in business is because legally you have to use their services. That's really, it's a division of us and them. And the government doesn't care as long as you're on one side or the other, Republican, Democrat. They care when you're not on either side.
Yeah, that tweets some people out.
Really dangerous to them.
Yeah, that's scary. So here's one from Joseph. I'm going to start a crack key system growing lettuce and tomatoes to work. It works out. If it works out, it will expand to more vegetables. I have something to say about that, Joseph. I do crack key lettuce in my house right now because I still haven't hooked up a water pump to move the water. And I started with crack key because it's easy and accessible. Crack key tomatoes prefer not crack key. What I would urge you to do is go look at deep water hydroponics where you have a bucket with the air gap like crack key, but the water's moving through it. For me, that works better with tomatoes. I grow my tomatoes that way now to help reduce how much blight they get in the summer here. I grow them outside that way. But just a sedentary bucket, the life of the tomato gets really negatively impacted unless you're doing water changes.
Like, I don't know where you are right now. Here, we could do lettuce for the next 6 months, man,
right?
Until it's too cold. But we definitely couldn't do tomatoes. I have floating raft aquaponics right now. My cabbages are the size of my head. My broccoli is all putting on broccoli like crazy. And then my tomatoes, almost all of my tomatoes are dead, except I've got these like purple black tomatoes that still have tomatoes on them. So it's too different. The temperatures are too varied. You could totally do it. I mean, like Nicole said, I mean, but the cracky stuff, especially in cool temperatures, greens, man, greens.
Yeah, the greens do great. That's awesome about your cabbage. I'm really good at attracting cabbage worms, and so we have zero cabbage here right now.
It might be too cold for them right now. Like all our flies have died, and we've already had a couple frosts.
Yeah, I had frost on my kale this morning, and that plant's just been hit by frost 5 or 6 times. It comes back, we get a few leaves off of it, but I only have one kale plant right now.
Oh, so. I got kale from like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
Franken kale.
Yeah.
I have a Franken chard outside, the Swiss chard that was put in 5 years ago now by a friend in my aquaponics system, and it still hasn't died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I send him a picture once a year, like, it's still there. Everything else you put in died eventually, but that didn't die. So if it ever goes to seed, I'm keeping those seeds, but it hasn't gone to seed either. Yeah. But yeah, the 30-day review says kale will stay green forever. And I've seen kale coated in a 1/2 inch of ice after an ice storm here, and then it melts, and the kale's like got a little browning, but it's fine.
It's like it can't fracture that cellular level. You know, 30-day reviews. Do you know what he does?
I do. You know that video that I just put out that's a year old about coffee? No. He's the one who edited that video.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. He did the great voiceover from when I couldn't read the label.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah, he does. What he does is he gets people to send him things. He tries them for 30 days. A lot of it's like beard beard oil and stuff like that. And then he does a review on his channel, which is 30-day reviews. And I've known him for many years just from the TSP network. So yeah, but he did manage to do a lot with that video. I was pretty impressed.
Right on.
Next, they'll connect all sorts of records. Okay, talking about the passports.
They already are. They already are. We just don't realize that they're doing it. So if they're asking you or threatening you or telling you they might do something or asking permission, right? They already have all that.
They already do it.
Everybody's up in arms over Apple is going to be able to see if you have, porn on your phone or whatever.
Yeah.
You think they can't already do that? Do you think they're not already doing that? They don't build a criminal case anymore. They look through all your shit and find the piece that they want to go to the magistrate with and get the warrant for. Like they have a thing called a snoop and poop. They actually will break into a property. Federal agents will break into a property, go through your shit, find the illegal thing, and then go to the magistrate and get a warrant to come and do a full executed search warrant where they can actually seize more property. And they've been busted many, many times. I have a friend who was a federal agent, and they fucking came in and said he had kiddie porn on his fucking computer, right? This dude was like the Boy Scout poster boy. And some guys went to bat for him, and it came out that it was all bullshit. They plant that shit.
Yeah, I have a friend who had something like that planted on his computer. He's in jail right now.
Yeah, they don't. Have you noticed that all the guys that are bucking the system, right? David Koresh, right? Randy Weaver, any of these dudes, it always comes back to child porn. That's the new thing, right? If you're doing just raising your kids, producing food, and you're like, I'm not getting this shot, right? If they want to come in and make a big deal about it, they're not going to say what they're mad about, or you haven't paid taxes, or you kind of got out of paying taxes somehow. They're just going to tell society that you had kiddie porn or that they found children on your property. They're going to vilify you, and 99% of the population is just going to never even question it. And that's what they do. They blame you for shit they do. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Do you think for 1 second the Max Lane, the fucking Ghislaine Maxwell thing and the Epstein stuff, all of those, do you know that it just came out, the flight log, right? So the airplane pilot to Kiddie Porn Island just came out, and they had all this whole flight manifest of all the people who have flown on there. Do you know that 90% of them were redacted? 90% of the fucking pedophiles that went to the island where we know kiddie porn shit was happening, you can't see who's on there. They're protecting 90% of those people.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Stop and think about that. Tony Robbins puts $7 million into a foundation, a dude I know who goes and actually rescues children overseas, right? White kids, white Mormon kids from Utah, kids that look like our kids, right? Overseas. They rescue these kids and bring them back. Why can't we stop that shit? But we're worried about cataloging what our U.S. citizens are doing, because the people in charge are the ones doing it. That's why.
Yeah, that seems to be the issue with that case and why it's so secretive. But there's no reason.
They're all involved.
Yeah.
Comey's fucking daughter, who's responsible for losing the tapes of Epstein's death, is the head prosecutor on the case. We don't have a problem with that. That shouldn't be able to happen. And who controls them? Who is hearing constitutional law, right? All these things that are unconstitutional. Who's doing shit about it? Because the population is not going to stand up and pull the few from the castle. So it's just going to keep happening.
Well, unless you opt out of it. Right?
I hear you. But that circle's getting smaller and smaller, Nicole.
It is getting smaller. It'll get bigger again. I'm your optimistic friend. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird watching this. Okay, well, we've been going about an hour. Do you think we should wrap up?
Sure.
All right. What do you want to say before we go?
Oh, I don't know. I do a live feed every night. It's some of it's like this. It's really whatever people want to talk about. I walk around. We talk about anything that you really want to talk about. 9 o'clock on Facebook. If I'm not on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I put a couple of videos up, a video every week on YouTube on my page. You wouldn't know it from most of my videos, but there's a sew shop on the other side of the wall here. We do military and law enforcement, nylon tactical gear, SOE tactical gear. You can see us there. We do several events through the year. You should come to them. Even if you don't have an interest in them, you should still come out. There'll be somebody here doing something that you are interested in. And you never know what that'll turn into. It like literally could change the entire course of your life. And probably for the better. If you can be changed or swayed that easily, you're probably not doing what you should be doing anyways. Just check, come out, be part of the community. You got something to add it, and we'll go from there. I'm 50 years old. I've been doing pretty much anything I want to do for the last 30 years. And I do now what works. I mean, I know a lot of stuff. I have experience and age behind me. And it's a trip because I'll be like, I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. And I used to say that to be a smart ass, but it really is the case now. So, and I have I've had huge failures. So really you have no excuse why you're not doing what you want to do, because I've lost everything several times on a humongous scale. And I'm to the point where I can build it back in a year. If a tornado took everything out of here, or we came back tomorrow and everything was burnt to the ground, within a year, I'd be ahead of where I am right now.
Yeah. It's probably within the week, you'd be sewing somewhere.
Oh, less than a week. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I made $960,000 the first year I was home from prison. I was in federal prison for 22 months. I made $960,000 the first year I was home. And that was on 3 years of probation, federal probation. So you can do anything you want to do. You just have to do it.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the live stream today, guys. If you want to check out John's setup and get to know him and other people, come to the Self Reliance Festival. It is February 19th and 20th. Overnight camping is included. Bring a tent. I saw somebody asking about a teardrop camper. Find a campground in Camden, Tennessee. There are campgrounds near there if you really want, because by the time you have something pulling something, the parking gets weird. And I know where your camping is. It's not easy to necessarily back up a trailer there. Possible, but not super easy. So come on out.
And gates.
Yeah. And there are Airbnbs in the area and that sort of thing. So there's lots of options. There's a hotel. Come on out and check it out. And if you think you might have something that might fit the Self Reliance Festival as far as a presentation, get those in like this week, because we're finalizing the agenda. It doesn't mean it won't flex between now and February, but we want to get that out so people know who they're going to see. I know we already have Dr. Ken Berry coming. John usually talks about something. I was planning to talk about underground networking. I'm not sure what else is on the agenda, but there's the blacksmith will be back. Who did you just tell me to add? Like
is Neethi coming?
Neethi is planning to come. Yeah.
I've got Kevin Dixie's coming in.
Yeah.
I don't know. He and I are going to talk together, just for being from polar opposite walks of life, being polar opposite people. So we're just going to, speak. I don't know where that conversation is going to go.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I've got a few videos I've shot with him.
Yeah.
I've got a few other people coming too. I'll make sure we get them registered in.
Awesome. Yeah. And tickets are like $30. It's only $30 between now and the end of December. So get them now. You can always sell it to somebody else.
Well, we're going to do some door prizes too. Like something aside from what Nicole's doing. Like we're going to process, we're going to kill a hog.
Yeah.
I have a food truck coming in. Shane is coming in and going to set up food. He won Food Truck Wars like 3 years in a row. Badass chef. I've had him here probably 6-7 times before. We're going to take some baby pigs and grease them up, and I'm going to give $1,000 out of my pocket to whoever catches the pig. So it's going to be cold, but I figure for $1,000 we'll get enough people to participate, so we'll get some good video footage of that. We're going to do some door prizes and have some raffles and different things. We're going to do it a little different than last time. And just bring in people from different walks of life. You're going to meet people that you would have never met. You're going to meet a lot of people that you've seen online. You're going to meet people that are doing really big things in life, especially for their communities. And it's just bringing people from other places that we all have something in common. We just have to find that thing. When you come to one of these things, we don't care what color you are. We don't care what race you are. We don't care what your sexual preference is. Everybody's here for a common cause. And none of that shit that we're online, bitching and moaning about, none of it exists while we're here. So when you walk away, you're going to have new friends, and you're going to realize a lot of the stuff, the people we call friends aren't really friends. We use that term too loosely. So you're going to make real friends.
Yep. Yeah. And you will find that you find real society, real culture here versus the fake construct that is out there. When they talk about the new normal, you're going to find normal.
You're right.
Not the old normal. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
The rest of it's a fiction they're trying to sell.
When you come into these little towns, it's like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It's because you know why? Because nothing happened.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on today, John. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye.